So, today we are going to learn about the very famous movie Avatar, released in 2009. So, before we go through the objectives of the study, as I've always told you, that it will be very beneficial for you if you watch the film by yourself. And I'm sure, as you know, Avatar is a very popular movie and it won many academic awards. So, I'm sure many of you might have watched the movie, and the others who haven't, please give it a watch. Then it will be much easier for you to understand the subtle nuances that we are going to speak about in our lecture. So first, let's go through the objectives of the study. That is to learn the basic storyline and concept line of the film Avatar. Secondly, we will understand the sociological connections and critically analyze the movie. And thirdly, we'll analyze in detail the environmental activism in the movie and the take-home message from it. So first, about the film, Avatar 2009 is an epic science fiction film that tackles broad social issues such as military occupation, corporatism, imperialism, racism, ethnocentrism, ethics, and environmentalism. The 162-minute film, written and directed by James Cameron, who also directed such major Hollywood hits such as the Titanic, the Terminator, and Aliens, etc., surpassed Titanic to become the number one all-time domestic box office hit, one earning well over 600 millions domestically and 2 billion worldwide. Avatar takes place on a fictional world named Pandora, a land rich in natural resources, the most important of which is the fictional mineral aptly named by Cameron as the unobtanium. The setting of the movie takes place years after the failed corporate attempts to subtly coerce the local indigenous population, called the Navis, into relocating to less desirable locations on the planet. The corporate greed eventually leads to the head of a major corporate enterprise turning to the military help for relocating the Navi, who occupy locations rich with the desirable resources. The protagonist, Jake, a paraplegic marine who dreams of one day being able to walk again, is recruited by the corporation to replace his brother, who was a scientist trained to occupy the body of one of the avatars, genetically created, remotely operated Navi-human hybrids that are controlled through a computer-aided linked consciousness. Although Jake originally agrees to spy on the Navi for the military, he quickly ends up regretting this decision after growing close to one of the Navi clans and eventually developing a relationship with the daughter of one of the clan's spiritual leaders. After the betrayal carried out by Jake, the Marines are called in to forcibly remove the Navi from one of the central unobtanium sites. The attack devastates one of the sacred sites of Navi, leaving Jake to discover a way to unite and mobilize all of the Navi clans together and eventually repel the Marines and corporation from their world. Jake is fatally wounded in the ensuing battle, but his life force is transferred from his human body to his Navi avatar, allowing him to permanently live on Pandora. The sociological connections and the critical review. Avatar is a futuristic take on the traditional post-civil rights Western film. Typically, this storyline revolves around the profit-driven, technology-loving white men who are in the process of conquering the spiritual, nature-loving native people until a white savior comes along to save the day. While this story usually involves Native Americans, a few films have applied the same story to other indigenous non-white groups. For example, The Last Samurai, though fighting with the Custer figures into the storyline Star Trek. Director-writer Cameron has cast the Navi as fantasy or futuristic Native Americans, largely through utilizing the same Native American stereotypes used in many modern westerns. For example, Sute, the second in command of the Navi clan at the center of the story, looks strikingly similar to popular images of Iroquois warriors. He is skilled dire horse rider and an expert archer. Borrowing from South and Central American indigenous people, the Navi also use arrows dipped in poison and use bolas as a weapon. Consistent with modern westerns like the Dances with Wolves, The Last of Dogmen, nature is seen as simple and good, whereas technology is seen as complex and bad. The Navi utilize shaman such as Moat, the spiritual leader in the film, as interpreters for Pandora's life force, Eva. This seemingly positive stereotype limits both roles and potential of non-whites. Echoing the stereotypes of black athletes, which with the expectation to be athletic but not intellectual. For example, blacks are less likely than whites to be quarterbacks in football or coaches in any major sport. The Navi are physical. One of our first views of Navi avatars has them playing basketball, and spiritual but not intellectual or technologically adept. Reception received by the film Avatar. When Cameron released the first Avatar movie in 2009, it claimed the #1 film spot for 7 consecutive weeks, and after many days, it made nearly 3 billion worldwide, went on to become the highest grossing movie of all time. Over a decade later, fans and film critics are hyped about the latest addition to the sci-fi series, which, like its predecessor, boasts record-breaking cinematography and an enchanting plot that immerses viewers in another culture, world, and way of life entirely. Avatar 2 continues the main storyline of the bioluminescent world of Pandora, where the indigenous Navi tribe of blue-skinned, highly evolved creatures live harmoniously with nature, but whose livelihoods are jeopardized when their world is invaded by the sky people. This oppressive alien human species wishes to colonize Pandora, exploit its rich biodiversity, and try to use their advanced military technology to mine and poach the rare resources and wildlife that exist for their own gain. So now that we have learned a little bit about the film Avatar, there's a quiz for you all. Who directed the film Avatar? Your options are option A, Ridley Scott, option B, Martin Scorsese, option C, James Cameron, and option D, George Lucas. And yes, the correct option is James Cameron. Detailed discussion about the different environmental perspectives in Avatar. Humans are destructive forces on the world whose unsustainable greed exploits its rich natural resources, damages its environment, and destroys the precious biodiversity that exists there and displaces the innocent indigenous communities that otherwise live in harmony with nature. A harsh but honest reflection of the modern developed civilization, but one that not actually intended as a portrait of the present-day human populations on Earth, but rather the fictional humans that invade the alien moon of Pandora in James Cameron's much-anticipated blockbuster sequel, Avatar: The Way of Water. Throughout both Avatar movies, viewers experience the world of Pandora through the lens of the Navi people. They feel their innate bond with the nature, witness how their world's ecosystems thrive through maintaining the equilibrium between the elements, the flora, the fauna, and related to the struggles faced when a new hostile species threatens their existence and tries to exploit their natural world. On Pandora, everything is connected, and much like the first movie, Avatar 2 has a continuous thread of environmental activism throughout. The film captivates the audience with the beautiful imagery and an engaging story, whilst conveying an important message about the dualities between industry, technology, past, future, people and nature, serving as a protest against many urgent, important, and difficult topics in parallel. Director James Cameron hopes the eco conscious message woven into the Avatar will inspire people to apply the Pandora's principles to life on Earth, protect our own planet, and spark environmental, conservational, and climate change conversations on activism. Avatar inspired activisms. The first movie focused on the displacement of Pandora's indigenous Navi forest tribes as they faced the conflict and colonization from alien humans who invaded their world and began cutting down their trees in order to mine the rare mineral deposits there known as unobtanium. As the title suggests, the second Avatar movie shifts focus onto another Pandora's vital ecosystems, the ocean, where the human sky people begin exploiting ocean biodiversity and poaching the local wildlife there for the valuable natural materials they possess. Cameron has revealed that he will continue to make sequels within the Avatar franchise as long as there is demand, and has hinted that subsequent movies will explore a spectrum of different ecosystems, cultures, and concepts. Throughout the entirety of the movie's narrative, imagery, and storyline, the environmental message of Avatar is apparent, and Cameron has admitted he hopes that his last installment, which explores Pandora's coastlines and the endangered alien species that live there, will inspire people and spark interest in ocean conservation. Maybe a movie like this can make people feel connected to the ocean, and maybe that makes them think a little bit, says Cameron. I'm not saying just send $10 to Greenpeace. I'm talking about how we can work together to conserve this wonderful, beautiful, amazing thing that we have right here on planet Earth, says Cameron. Aside from the obvious plotline that pits the environment against unsustainable human greed, there are many other subtler nuances of eco consciousness and activism throughout the movies. For one, the Navi tribes live simplistically, sustainably, and in accordance with nature, honoring its seasons and natural cycles. They have a deep connection with the environment and respect the treasures their world bestows on them, only consuming minimally and when necessary, and ensuring that the flow of energy and the natural order is maintained in everything they do. This environmental message is reinforced even further as we see Pandora's environment, flora, and fauna existing and functioning as one, with great emphasis on how maintaining the balance of natural infrastructure allows all creatures to thrive collectively as one. We see threads of this sentiment in the first movie when the oppressive humans damage Pandora's forests and destabilize the entire ecosystem in the area as a result. Poaching also features heavily in the second movie, where whalers hunt and kill sea creatures known as the tulkuns for a lucrative liquid extract they possess that prevents aging. The humans seek this rare material to fund their colonization campaigns, which also brings to light the strong political and anti-imperialistic undertones Cameron is trying to convey through the lens of Pandora. There is also a commentary on migration, as the main Navi family in the second movie are displaced from their forest home and the tribe as a result of conflict seeking refuge on the coast with the Metkainia Reef people. The Navi refugee family are not initially accepted, with the children being bullied for their mixed lineage, the human and the Navi. Sustainability is a prominent plotline throughout the movie, but also off screen in Cameron's directing, shooting, and production of the movie. On set sustainability. The production of the first Avatar film was famously expensive, but pales in comparison to the sequel, which stacked up to a total cost of $350 million. Despite the enormous amount of capital requirement to shoot the CGI-heavy movie, director James Cameron, being a vegan himself, was committed to ensuring the production was carried out as sustainably as possible. Only allowing vegan food as a part of the on-set catering and designing eco-friendly set infrastructure in accordance with his own environmental values. The Avatar team also partnered with Mercedes-Benz to design a new concept car inspired by the world of Pandora to promote the movie's message on sustainability and innovation. Cameron's values are also reflected in the level of intricacy illustrated in the big geography, culture, and biodiversity of the world of Pandora, both on the big screen in the script and off screen, as well as in the Navi language, the lore he has created. He even went as far as to hire experts to create a Navi language, sign language accompaniment. The franchisee's efforts to promote civil activism are being recognized by the moviegoers, nonprofits, and activists alike, as Avatar: The Way of Water has been awarded the Voices for the Earth Award jointly from the Advanced Imaging Society and earthday.org, as well as the Green Seal for Sustainable Production from the Environmental Media Association. Avatar has also won many awards for its groundbreaking CGI and invention of new visual effect technologies. However, though he may be a pioneer of cinematography, constantly seeking out new angles, ideas, concepts, and graphic technologies, James Cameron is no newcomer to activism. We are now 8 billion people, and when I was born, we were 3 billion people. Now it's 8 billion. We have to change how we operate, says Cameron. James Cameron's climate commitment. When Cameron took the script to 20th Century Fox Studios, they were immediately taken with the sci-fi marvel he presented them with, making only one conditional request: remove the hippie tree-hugging undercurrents and we'll be good to go. No, because that's why I am making the film, said Cameron. Throughout his life, Cameron has shown commitment to the conservation of the environment, especially the ocean, a common theme in many of his movies, such as the Titanic, due to his lifelong love for diving. He has manifested his environmental advocacy by penning a multitude of activist op-eds promoting a climate-friendly lifestyle, and has made many documentaries collaborating with the BBC, the National Geographic, and the Ocean X, to name a few. In much of his work, Cameron endeavors to highlight the beauty of the ocean depths as well as the various threats they and the planet coral reefs face in the wake of the climate crisis. An environmental message from Pandora. Avatar is just a movie, but its core message transcends the big screen, as Cameron says. The movie rekindles in us an awareness of our innate connection to nature and to each other, which is primordial. When we see it on screen, it awakens something in us. On Avatar's Pandora, everything is connected. The director, Cameron, hopes his futuristic yet relatable sci-fi masterpiece will help enlighten his audience to consider the ecosystems, flora, and fauna on Earth in the same way. We have to forge a path forward where we listen to the indigenous wisdom keepers and rebalance ourselves with nature, and not go fully down the rabbit hole of advanced technology, but at the same time not lose what we have created, not lose the zenith of science and understanding of the natural world and we have managed to extract. So, what does a balanced human future look like, says Cameron? In the first film, Princess Neytiri of the Navi Umatikaya clan warns the humans who are colonizing, exploiting, and destroying her world's biodiversity by saying, "Sky people cannot learn, you do not see." Let's not fulfill this fictional but very possible prophecy, and let's begin to see the reality of the future world that lies ahead of us if we do not collectively commit to change today.